Hey guys, this is Undead. Welcome to another episode of Free to Play Friday. Today we are going to talk about ice barriers. But before we get into the video, be sure to go ahead and check out the rest of the Free to Play Friday playlist. This is the 4th episode and we are going to have many more, so if you're interested in free to play decks, we got you covered. We also recently just got a community Discord and it's going off. Make sure to join with the link in the description to talk and duel with some spicy 6k duelists. The Ice Barrier deck can almost entirely be obtained with the Stars of Synchron mini box, but it has a couple of other cards scattered around the place, but you might be able to figure a way to play without them. So this deck really wants to summon the Ice Barrier dragons, Trishula, Gungnir, Brionac, and Big Trishula. The Trishulas will banish 3 cards on Synchro Summon. Big Sis, Big Trish gets 3 from the field, and Little Sis, Little Trish gets 1 each from hand, field, and grave. And if Big Sis, Big Trish dies, it'll summon Little Sis, Little Trish, making Little Sis, Little Trish 3300. It also cuts your opponent's monster's stats in half and negates their effects permanently. Since it special summons Little Sis, Little Trish without it being counted as a synchro summon, Little Sis, Little Trish won't get to banish things on summon, but that's okay. It did get boosted, and your opponent's mons got nerfed into nothing. Gungnir and Brionac discard cards to get rid of the opponent's cards. Gungnir destroys their cards and Brio bounces them. Brio can be obtained from the Aerial Assault main box or from UR Dream tickets, and Gung can be obtained from the Cybernetic Rebellion main box or from an SR ticket. Both of these guys' boxes are also on the half gem sale, so keep that in mind. And if you only wanted to play one of them, I'd pick Brionac because it's more generic, but for this deck in particular, Gungnir might be better because it gets rid of their cards permanently. Not gonna lie, my boys, this deck isn't the grindiest of decks. I just felt like if I was gonna make a guide on ice barriers that I should at least try playing all of the dragons of the ice barrier. And low key, Gung puts in some work. The rest of the extra deck here is generically good water stuff. You play it if you have it, but I should say that Abyss Dweller is one of this deck's only turn 1 plays, and it's a card that everyone should get at some point anyway. The main card of this whole deck here is Revealer of the Ice Barrier. It lets you discard a card to summon one of your tuners from the deck. So we got 3 of her and 1 of each of our tuners here of levels 1, 2, and 3, and that's a nice little way to get a synchro summon off. So Revealer is going to be the starter for our deck. In order to get her consistently, we also have the search spell Medallion of the Ice Barrier. All it does is search any of your Ice Barrier monsters. 6 cards that represent a starter doesn't sit quite right with me though, so we've also got a couple copies of Wins Over the Ice Barrier. It lets you tribute any amount of your ice barriers to summon the same number from deck, but they have to be level 4 or lower, and they all gotta have different names. If we have this and another ice barrier, we could tribute that to summon the Revealer from the deck. The great thing about this though is if the opponent uses Book of Moon or Warning Point on your monster, you could use this to tribute it to summon another copy of it so you can keep playing. For our other search targets, we have Wanye West and Speaker, both of which summon themselves like Black Wings from the hand if you have another of the archetype on the field, and they each have their own benefits. Wanye will search for an Ice Barrier back row from deck to hand, and Speaker can banish itself from grave to summon a level 1 Ice Barrier token. It's actually more useful than you'd think because of the skill, but we'll get into that later. For the tuners we're gonna summon from the deck, we have Geomancer, Dew Dark, and Hexa. Geo and Dew only really live here because of the levels, and Hexa is only here because its utility is kind of nice. It can send one of the other 2 to the grave to copy their level, and as a tuner that's really nice. But why would I summon Hexa if I'm just gonna make it the level of one of the other tuners anyway? Couldn't I just summon one of the other tuners? Great point, dear viewer. Territory of the Sharks can be used if your whole main and extra deck is only water attribute, and you can use it twice per duel to make all monsters you control level 4. This could be great for making a rank 4, but it could also be great for making a synchro play. If you have 3 monsters on the field and one of them is Hexa, you can make them all level 4, then use Hexa to make itself level 3, and now you'll be able to go into Big Sis, Big Trish. Banish 3 of your opponent's cards, and that swing and card advantage and field advantage might just be enough just by itself to win you the game. How you get those 3 monsters including the Hexa on the field is up to you. You have the searching of the deck, you have the special summoning of the deck. This deck isn't exactly a hard and fast combo deck, it's kind of like I'll do what I can with what I've got deck. If you're going first though, you're probably going to want to stay protective, so go into an Abyss Dweller to turn off the opponent's grave effects and hope for the best. I'm not going to lie guys, this deck isn't at the versatility level we'd want it to be at for now, but that doesn't mean you can't steal wins from people with it. And since it's pretty cheap anyway, you might just have the cards laying around for it already. This deck's a decent bit better going second than first. I'm not saying it's the best deck in the world at playing through interruptions, but it does have a solid amount of cards that can help you play through things, like the wins over Ice Barrier, for example. You can play another copy of this if you like, so that you can draw it more, but if I'm going second, I might just be able to search for it with a Wanye anyway. I could also use Wanye to search for the freezing chains of the Ice Barrier. It's a searchable revive for the archetype's low-level monsters. It also protects your Ice Barriers from activated effects of extra egg monsters as long as you control 3 Ice Barriers. Honestly, man, that's a lot of conditions and restrictions. That shit is not happening. Just think of this as a monster reborn that doesn't know when to leave the field, just like the last guy to leave a party. This deck might be alright when it comes to playing through monster interruptions, but back row interruptions are a pretty big weakness of the deck. So I've thrown in 6 back row removal in here. If you don't have Cosmics, I don't know what to tell you, bro. This channel's told you to get Cosmics so many times, and Konami seems to really want to make it easy for you to get it, so there's really no excuse now. Just go pick them up, alright? And then we can get into barriering people's ice, or whatever it is that this deck is trying to do in the lore. The Ice Barriers do have other effects to them that I haven't mentioned. Revealer can replace one of the discards for another copy of itself using its discard effect, or replacing one of the discards for Brio or Gungnir using their effects, and it also stops the opponent from tribute summoning while it's on the field. Wins, you can banish it from grave to return one of your Ice Barriers from banish or grave to your hand. The turn after it was sent to the grave. Speaker prevents your opponent's monsters from changing battle positions. Wanye banishes your opponent's back row when they would go to grave. Hexa reduces your opponent's stats by 500 if you control another Ice Barrier. Geomancer discards a card and picks an attribute to make it so that it can't be attacked by that attribute. And Dark can attack directly if you have nothing on the field that's level 3 or higher. This all sounds like a bunch of trash, because it is. Except for the Revealer effect and the Wind effect. Generally, Ice Barriers have a theme of just having weird random effects that never come up, so just ignore those. There are certain things I won't be able to explain without some gameplay, so let's just get into that, shall we? So I'm going against Synchrons here, and he does make a couple of choices, but he does have a pretty godly hand, so he has the full combo here. He's used his Necroid Synchro, as you should, to go into Stardust Dragon, use the skill to get a Formula Synchron, but he says yes to the skill putting the 3 useless tuners on the top of his deck. There's no reason for him to do this, because he's not going to be able to go into his battle phase this turn anyway. So he's kind of doing this for no reason, and he's going to Shooting Star Dragon. Maybe he doesn't own Stardust Warrior, so that's why he's going into Shooting Star Dragon, but regardless, Shooting Star Dragon isn't that amazing going first, and putting the tuners on top of your deck isn't going to be that helpful for you, but overall, solid enough field. He's got a back row here. I'm going to Cosmic that right off the bat here. I've got a couple search spells. Must be nice to be me, right? Get rid of that Drowning. Medallion is going to search for one of my extenders, and the Medallion is also going to search for my other extender as well. So I'm going to normal summon here, and I'm going to try my best using my extenders to bait out that Crystal Wing. I don't know what he's going to negate, so I'm just going to have to try my best here, hope that my wins over the Ice Barrier can help me get something, you know. So he's actually going to negate the first monster effect that activates. Bit of a weird choice, probably shouldn't have done that, but I can at least summon the Wayne. Wayne can search the Revive here, so it's pretty much as if I've lost nothing. Revealer can discard, get a Hexa on the field, then I can turn them all into level 4, and then use that play I talked about earlier, where after turning them all into level 4, I can use the Hexa to make itself level 3 by sending the 3 from deck to grave. So now I have 4 plus 4 plus 3, that equals 11, so we can go Synchro Summon 11. Trishula Zero Dragon of the Ice Barrier, also known as Big Sis, Big Trish. Banish their stuff, then I can use my Revive that I searched to revive something, then I can use the Speaker to make a token, and now I can go into a link to Marincess. Hey, if you didn't have this, then what you could have done was you could have just revived the Revealer and just gone in for game there, but I'm flexing a little bit here, so I'm going into the Anemone, use it to revive something else, and I was going to attack for game just after that anyway, but you know, he scooped it up. Opponent's going first again. Now I do actually have to point out that this guy does some pretty questionable stuff here. So he happens to have the Gearfried, must be nice to be him. So he activates a skill, banishes, sets that equip spell, but he sets a monster and ends his turn without equipping his Gearfried with the equip spell that the skill gives him for free. That was questionable. Regardless, it wasn't gonna matter. All right, this is not the best replay. I feel like this is a pretty embarrassing mistake. He probably intended it on equipping, but he forgot to or something. Regardless, I was going to use Spiritualism to get rid of that equip so that he couldn't negate me. So just gonna pretend that I did that. Basically, I'm going to go into Interrupted, I'm going to use the medallion, search the Revealer. Revealer is going to do what Revealer always does, which is summon from deck. So wins over the Ice Barrier is also going to tribute these guys to summon these two from the deck. So using these two, I can go into the Marincess Coral Anemone, and which can resummon the Hexa from grave, right? And then since I do have the speaker in the grave, the speaker can then banish itself to summon a token. Then I can use the skill to make both of them level 4. The Hexa can then send the Geomancer to make itself level 3. I can go into Gungnir, discard 2 cards as well, including Revealer, alright? Because remember, I can banish from a Revealer from grave and it will count as discarding a card to destroy his 2 monsters. I know his back row is just an equipped spell, it's not worth getting rid of, but if I did, I could have just used the Spiritualism. You know, having that Spiritualism in my hand right at the end, it just proves that I would have been just as fine if he did equip it. But yeah, I can just attack for game here and that's GG's. Okay, so finally I'm going first. My hand is not fantastic, but it does contain a Revealer, so I can at least get a playoff. I can discard, summon the Hexa from deck. I'm not going to do anything too deep. I'm just going to go into an Abyss Dweller, set... Actually, I'm not even going to set the Cosmic Cyclone, because pretty much every game that I had Cosmic and set it, it got Cosmic'd. And then they set back row, so I was just like, I don't need the Cosmic to interrupt anything, bro. This guy is not playing a Pendulum deck. I'll just keep it in the hand, get rid of that back row when it's back row, you know what I mean? So he sets his back row in a monster. It's probably, I'm just thinking it's probably because, you know, maybe he's Orcust and, you know, maybe he wants to set things so he can get rid of the Abyss Dweller with the back row here. But I'm gonna detach a material here. Why do I detach a material? Well, of course, it is good to, you know, stop any of the opponent's grave effects, but I'm mainly trying to get the Revealer in the grave because Revealer can replace the discard. So I'm going to get myself the Wayne and get rid of one of their back row here. I got rid of an MST. I felt kind of annoying about it until I remembered that I'm trying to resolve a continuous spell, and if they don't have their MST, then my continuous spell can resolve. So it's going to revive my Revealer here. Wayne is going to summon itself, search for another spell here. I'm going to use these two for a Coral Anemone. I will then discard to summon a Geomancer, pretty cool. Anemone is going to resummon Dewdark. He's going to book me now. That's fine. I'm going to use the Territory of the Sharks to go into number 37, Hopewoven Spider Shark. That's a long name, isn't it? I even forgot to say the word dragon. That's crazy. So I'm going to attack him again. If he finds a way to destroy me, Hopewoven will revive any monster, so I'll be able to revive the General Wayne, get another search off, and I'm pretty much back in the races. So all he's going to be able to do here is summon a couple of monsters. He's going to use the skill to make them both level 4. He's going to go into Chateau Hayek. He's going to realize that this is not enough for attack for a game, and he scoops it up. So as you could see, the opponents were not the most impressive opponents you might expect. But I don't know, man, people on ranked, while I was getting these replays for this explanation, were just doing the weirdest things. So I felt like I could either not do the video, or I could at least show you the replays that show off what the deck did achieve, what it was trying to achieve, so you could know what this deck does. I personally think this is one of those decks you can go online and have some fun with. You might even be able to get to King of Games if you grind like an animal, but you might have some more fun playing this in a fun-based duel room with your friend, because being able to big sis, big trish your opponent is one of the most satisfying things ever. If you want to know where you might find some friends to have some fun based duel rooms with, well, you can join the Team 6K Discord and you'll surely find somebody that's willing to have some fun duels with you there. As well as there's a lot of people there that are able to give good advice for deck building and advancing yourself as a free-to-play player. I do want to point out though that if you are an Ice Barrier player and you don't like the list I'm showing here today, I am in fact very happy to hear that. Make sure to join the Discord, show off your own Ice Barrier list and the reasons behind your card choices and ratios. Prove me wrong, and maybe we can work together to give the Ice Barrier community the most optimal list possible. If you do like my list though, or if you found this video helpful overall, be sure to let us know in the comments all of your thoughts and experiences. And if you like the video, like the video. Subscribe if you're new around here, hit that bell to get notified every time we make a new video. And I've been Undead from Team 6K. signing out.
Wait, hey, I feel like the greatest. Nah, I feel like they hate it. Nah, I feel like the only one and there is no debating. Man, I feel like they leaving. Nah, I feel like they waited. Nah, I feel like this is the feeling before I can make it. Before I hit the stage, I just feel like I'm nauseous. Or I feel like I'm popping. Or I feel like a boss is. Maybe I'm feeling off it. Or I feel like I'm toxic. Maybe feeling intoxicated is the reason for all this. I wanna whip it with the top down, dog, like I'm Earth Gang. Told him, listen, Wild Day shine like my first name. Told me go and grab a titty, boy, it's my first chain. I ain't even switch gears yet, it's the first lane. The first pain I ever felt was the worst pain. Then church came, and that feeling of hurt came. Then her name made this feeling all worth pain. She made me realize what I had felt in the first place.